I went to the Pursuit of Truth. I was watching this 999 What's Your Emergency, Channel 4. I think it's the second one. And it was showing, it's about alcohol, this episode. And it showed this husband or partner, the partner, the lady was drunk. And the husband wanted her out, claiming that this thing happens all the time. But there was a little girl, I don't know, maybe 9-year-old, who was the lady's. And so the police wanted to just take the lady. She had somewhere she could go stay. And the little girl would be better. Her last day of school was the next day, so it would be better for her to stay at the man's house. But the man got all up to about who's this bloke she's going to stay with, even though we don't know who it was she was going to stay with. But he obviously was like, well, I'm not going to look after her child. And so the child had to come out of bed, already had a bag packed. That's what set me off. And then when the police officer saying, like, when the adults act like children, the children act like adults, it just made me feel that heartache for that poor child. Not just that child, all children, that when I think about my twins, what they're going to have to go through when I have to take them to nursery, it feels bad still, when, say, they don't want to go, or they're crying, or they're upset, and we leave them somewhere else for education purposes. I mean, I know they have to get used to it because that's part of being in society, being with other people, but I know my experience at school wasn't that great, and my experience of childhood, but just when I think about if I wasn't around or my wife wasn't around, and just our children had to be looked after or had to live in this world, they're so close to us, especially during lockdown, where I've been lucky to have been with them all this time, whereas normally someone who's working isn't able to be with their children even though they want to be. And especially because my daughter, she's autistic, so it's very clingy, and just the thought of us not being around for them and have to defend for themselves in this wicked world, and that is the truth. It is a wicked and selfish and greedy world that we live in. Because I was thinking, like, when I was watching this 9 Watch Emergency, this one of many children who suffer in the system that we live within, that we're allowed to go on. The Met report recently had a report about how bad they've been failing in exploitation of children. We all know, like, when you think about the poor countries of the world where their parents die of diseases that we may have already made cures for, or they can't afford them, or where we have pharmaceutical companies that are competing against each other just to make money, just rather than actually finding medical breakthroughs of diseases that we should have found breakthroughs long ago for humanity. The way that our system is broken up into the way that it is. These children, the millions, billions, or whatever amount of children there are that are suffering, even even in affluence, suffering through mental health, suffering because of abuse of alcohol, or losing their parents because they haven't looked after themselves, because they have a sedentary life, or they eat from supermarkets that don't care about, and governments don't care about the amount of sugar and fat and all that content, even if it is labelled, that is allowed for food producers to make, that is known carcinogenics and known unhealthy things. I don't know, it just seems so sad to think of children these days. And like here, it's lucky because they have so much, but in a poor country, imagine what their life's like, how much suffering they have to feel and witness in their one existence. Take care, Daisy, with us, and peace.